Hi, everybody. It is Wednesday, the 7th of February, 2024. It's about 11:30 in the morning while I'm filming this. So, yeah, the legalities. Hey, remember, I am a clairvoyant, clairaudient, yeah, psychic. So, everything on my channel is for entertainment purposes only. So, do your own research, form your own opinions. If you would like a private reading, shoot me an email. That's in the description box, along with a full disclaimer, and along with the tip jar and the buy me a cream soda coffee things. So, okay, now that the legalities are over and done with, let's get going. And no, I'm not monetized, so yeah, it's like if you'd like to, I'd appreciate it if you could bounce around my videos so other people know, because I don't want to be monetized, because I don't want to have to be held by a whole completely different set of T&Cs. It's up to my viewers to let people know about me. And I'm also on Elon's platform, and I have to be more diligent, but I do cross post up on the green R. Okay? So let's get going. And some of the things we all know about, that Mayorkas, they didn't get enough votes to impeach him. I mean, this guy is like Homeland Security. That's kind of like he's basically, it's the inmates running the asylum. He knows nothing about keeping our borders safe, and we can tell by just what's walking around in our area. I mean, right now, it's now coming on mainstream news how the Big Red Sea is sending over its army. I mean, they fly him basically to, I guess, Ecuador, because they don't need a visa to go from the Big Red Sea to fly into Ecuador. They can just buy a plane ticket. Or they fly into some of the other, like one person said, the international airport for Acapulco. Now, once these citizens of the Big Red Sea land in Central America, the Big Red Sea government then puts these people, these military groups, on a chartered bus, and they drive them right up to the border right there in Southern California. And you can see it. They're like actually walking through a hole in the fence that is in this guy's backyard. So, yeah, the Big Red Sea is invading our country. They're bringing these guys over because if poop hits the fan pertaining to Taiwan, the Big Red Sea already has a military group here on the western coast of America, because any ships or stuff that would have to be sent out, carrier groups, they already have the army ready to attack our military installations up and down the west coast of America. So, yeah, the Big Red Sea is getting ready to do battle here. So, not too great. Mayorkas is condoning this, and so is Barry, Blinken, and Biden. I mean, Blinken was over in the Middle East, and yeah, he's like going to Riyadh and talking to the Saudis, but the Saudis are like, dude, you're not really going to get anything from us unless Gaza, the Western Bank, Iran, unfortunately sections of Some other countries that are strongholds are totally Dresden. Yeah, go back and look at what happened to Dresden in like 1944. And you'll understand what I'm saying. We've got to just, boom, wipe out the evil empire of Tehran out, because they are really wanting world domination. And yeah, they're playing nice. Tehran's playing nice with the Big Red Sea, but as we all know, the Big Red Sea doesn't like anybody with... The Big Red Sea bans religion. So if it comes down to, okay, the Big Red Sea and the evil empire have joined forces, but should the evil empire gain control over areas, then it's going to be a battle between the Big Red Sea and the evil empire, because communism versus extreme Islam. Which way do you want to go? So that's not going to be pretty. That's not going to be nice. I mean, a lot of the world news now is dominated by the bullshit in Gaza, and how the blue and yellow flag country is, the Z guy's still a complete idiot. Well, right now we all know, I haven't watched it yet, but Tucker Carlson did go over and flew to Russia to have a great interview with Vlad. And which is a good thing, because Vlad, Donald, Javier, and I can't remember the other guy's name, but take a look at El Salvador in Central America. They've got a new president, and he's a younger guy, but he's basically cleaned up that entire country. So people have had enough of this gangbanger, woke bullshit, and more countries are saying, get the heck out. Right now, it's like, yeah, Vlad and his government have made it a federal law in Russia. Any foods that have been modified with all sorts of chemicals and crap are outlawed in Russia. I mean, only natural foods can be sold. Non-modified foods can be sold in Russia now. And Russia is one of the healthiest places to be. So if you don't want to be forced into this Soylent Green crap, we've got to follow what Vlad has got Russia doing now. So we, one of the other guys that I watched is like Mark Dice today, and he made a couple comments about Candace Owens. Well, Candace is saying that the CIA created Hollywood. I'm like, sweetie, you gotta go back and do your history. I mean, both of them are a little bit skewed on their Hollywood film history. I mean, I have a little bit of knowledge. I used to work in the biz, and my great-grandmother, yeah, she was a tailor. And she worked back at the old Marshall Fields back when Harry Selfridge was running the store on State Street. And she also was a tailor at the original SNA studios. Because New York and Chicago used to be the big film hubs back before 1920. That's where most of the films were made. They used to go over, if they needed flowers, they used to hop the fence and go swipe the flowers from the cemetery that was close by in Chicago. Yeah. Yeah, and she actually did There's some other things that I can say, but it's best not at this time. But yeah, film history started in New York and Chicago, but they couldn't film outside because of our winters, so that's why the industry moved to California, where they didn't have to deal with sub-zero cold and snow during the winter. They could film outside all year long. But then they brought up the movie Argo. Well, duh. The movie Argo was a theatrical release remake of the made-for-TV miniseries called Escape from Iran, the Canadian Connection. Now, people realize, hey, I have to bring this up again. Yeah, I grew up bouncing around the Middle East. My dad was involved with diplomatic transport, so I did get to see a lot of stuff and do a lot of things. And yeah, when I was 17, that summer of 79, I was around helping pack boxes of shit that had to get flown out of Tehran. We left there like late August, early September. And in October is when really all hell broke loose, and that's when the Ayatollah Khomeini instructed that the U.S. Embassy to be stormed. And there were people that managed to get out that were being taken care of by the Canadians. Canadians are basically British subjects. So, yeah, the Canadians, the Brits, and the Americans all worked together to create a faux film production company in order to smuggle the hidden people out of Iran. So the CIA didn't build Hollywood. Hollywood was actually providing tools for the CIA. And so, yeah, the CIA and Hollywood, they work movie magic together. And that's why starting in the late 50s, early 60s, that's why you start getting the TV shows Man from U.N.C.L.E. and Mission Impossible and a few others, Star Trek. That's when the three-letter agencies started providing information to members of the Writers Guild. And that's how come you got a lot of these really cool TV shows put together. So the three-letter agencies have been working with Hollywood and so forth. And Ealing Studios and what's the other big one? Pinewood Studios in the UK. That's why you've got some really cool movies, and hey, Ian Fleming's stuff. Yeah, he was an operative, so he documented what happened in his fiction books. So the film industry came first, and then it was infiltrated by three-letter agencies. So, Candace, you got it a little bit backwards. Okay? I mean, I would say 97% of the time, Candace Owens has everything, hits every nail on the head, but we got to give her that 3%. And saying that CIA started Hollywood, that falls into the 3%. Now, somebody else... Okay, now, I don't know how many of you were watching my live stream this past Saturday, but I did mention about the people with... what's a new word I can say? People whose spines have been saturated with water, river water. Okay, we saw them, and it was caught on surveillance video that some of these guys with spines that are with the their spines, their H2O spines, okay, attacked some of the NYPD. And they said, oh, they were taken in and they were just released. And we saw the videos with them giving the double fingers, the middle finger salute. And I said, hey, no, they're going to be picked up at a bus station on their way. They used the buses like Greyhound to get the heck out of Dodge, and they'll be picked up at one of the stations. Well, they did. They got picked up at an Arizona bus stop for Greyhound. So they've got them, and they're going to be taking them back to New York. And I guess this time they're going to be in the pokey until their court date. Hopefully. Now, what else do I have before I want to get to the other idiots? Yeah, I don't know if anyone caught it, but Ursula. Yeah, it's ironic. Remember, what is it? The evil whatchamacallit out of a movie from Walt and Roy's old company? Yeah, appropriate. The name Ursula is used to describe a not so nice fat female. Well, the Ursula affiliated with the EU just gave out a speech pertaining to all the farmers. Well, basically, she's preaching more false propaganda. And a lot of the propaganda is extremely similar to the speeches that were given in Europe by people in the 1930s. So basically what they're trying to do is they're going to throw money at the farmers to stop producing food in Europe, because they want to starve people out, and they want to turn the world into Soylent Green. So we've got to keep our eyes open, and anyone who starts preaching this toxic stuff, stop the farming. I mean, they even want to stop people from having their own vegetable garden in their backyards, their own vegetable patch. They're going to make that a crime. Yes, the EU wants to make people dependent on Soylent Green. Yeah, go watch the movie. It's kind of creepy, but that's what they're going for. Okay? You gotta watch it. And something else that the Big Red Sea and the evil empire and the EU are now forcing on places, because we're not the only country that's getting invaded. There are countries down in South America that think like a lot of us here in the States do. They don't want to be controlled. Well, recently what they've done, because Rio de Janeiro is world famous for their carnival. Basically, it's Mardi Gras. We call it Mardi Gras here in the States. And we know that Mardi Gras is a real big deal down in New Orleans. And there's a lot of Mardi Gras parties nationwide. Well, in Brazil, they call it Carnival. The newest thing that the Davos dudes, the people who want global domination, what they've done is they've released dengue fever in Brazil. Tropical disease, jungle disease. So, yeah, folks, You're going to want to start stocking up on some of the home remedies and over-the-counter stuff. You need stuff to, like good old-fashioned aspirin, Bare aspirin, stock up on. Pedialyte. Believe it or not, tonic water. The good quality stuff that has the good quinine in it. Because if they're going to start with the dengue fever, the next thing, and it's already here in the States, is malaria. And how they treat malaria is quinine. And you get quinine is another name for tonic water. They put quinine in water to make it tonic water. So you can buy those in 1 liter bottles or little short little bottles. Stock up on it just in case. Because these illnesses are transmitted via mosquitoes. So if we do have to have our windows open all the time, you might want to have a mosquito net over your bed. Yeah, just decorate your room like a canopy. You can have it attached to the ceiling, or you can get one of those, those lamps that are on an arc that hang over. You can use one of those to put the mosquito net hanging over your bed. And don't laugh, but go ahead and you can use a lightweight fabric like a silk chiffon or man-made fiber chiffon. It's a tight weave, but it's breathable. And you can put those in your windows to keep mosquitoes out. And don't let there be a lot of standing water, because they're using dengue fever and malaria to get those who refuse to get the whatchamacallit in their arm. Now on to the nonsense pertaining to H&R. Yeah, I did catch HG Tudor this morning, and he has one stating that somebody is not a living being. But basically, he discusses, HG Tudor discusses a lot of narcissist behavior, and of course he went on about it, about the little fantasy that Rachel's admirers are believing and putting out. Well, yeah. A lot of these people who admire Rachel and just like hang on every single word or action she does, they think they're fantastic. They think she's wonderful. Well, hey, we've seen the interviews. She admits that she lies. I mean, a couple of people keep using that clip of her saying, "Oh, I'm such a fraud." Yeah, the best way to hide is to be in plain sight. She has always openly admitted that she lies and that she pretends to be something she's not. Like how she lied about having her Screen Actor Guild card when she really didn't. But now there are these clickbait channels like News and something G-Box. Yeah, they put out I would say 98% of their content is clickbait and incorrect information. But if you listen carefully, they do drop snippets of plausible information. One of their little clickbait videos this morning repeatedly used the term grandsons, plural, meaning more than one male child. And I've noticed that instead of using the term grandchildren on a lot of these clickbait channels, they're always using the term grandsons. Could there be no female offspring, but 2 little boys? And another clickbait channel, it's Royal Information and Government Stuff Update. What they did today was they took something that Lady C had talked about on her channel. They completely twisted Lady C's words. And basically, Lady C called out Rachel on her bad behavior. And basically what they were saying on that clickbait channel is that the reason why Rachel didn't fly over was because if she did, Charles wouldn't talk with Henry. And of course, she's all about the greed and the money. Well, she is always looking for the money. I mean, she has a very she likes her designer brands. Okay? And they do have to pay people a lot of hush money, or else maybe the information about the offspring, the alleged children, would come to light. And something that's funny is, okay, I know many people watch Taz. Well, Taz and I both have our accounts on Elon's platform. Well, Taz put up something and I replied to it, basically saying, yeah, the reason why he's going over there is because with Daddy sick, he needs to know who's now going to be in charge of his trust fund. That's why Henry got his butt over to the UK, because he needs to know, okay, who do I have to grovel to now if Dad's not going to be the executor cutting me a check every time I need more money? Who now holds the ATM card for the royal family? That's why Henry hauled his ass over there. And he was told, don't bring your wife. Your wife is not welcome. Which is true. And yeah, it's ironic. Now they're stating, because people did the time frame. They know when. I'm guessing on Monday evening, Henry jumped on a plane. They have direct flights from Los Angeles to Heathrow. LAX to Heathrow. And I don't know if they still use this term, but back when I was flying all over the world, they used to call that the Star Bomb flight. There was a star flight, because literally there was always, the first class cabin was always filled with celebrities flying from Los Angeles to London. And yeah, a couple times I kind of weaseled, letting my parents say, can't I do the LA to London flight a couple times? Well, when I was an older teenager, yeah, they let me. And let's put it this way. I did meet celebrities, and a few times when you're on a flight that's basically, you're on the plane for like almost 12 hours, you can develop a rapport with certain people. And yeah, I did meet some top celebrities, and to this day, for a couple bands, I still don't have to pay for concert tickets because they remember me. Yeah, you were the cool teenager that was doing her homework on the flight. So there's some people I still don't have to pay for tickets for shows for. I don't want to say who, but stayed in touch with these people for 40 plus years now. But yeah, it's most likely Henry jumped on a direct flight from Los Angeles to Heathrow on Monday. He got to Heathrow, early afternoon. They usually arrive between 10 a.m. and noon. So by the time he got out of Heathrow after going through customs and immigration, yada da yada da, they estimate he left Heathrow at around 2 o'clock. And by the time his car drove in through the gates into Clarence House, and by the time that they saw Charles in his car leaving Clarence House, it was a grand total of 45 minutes. So Henry might have had, I'd say, a 15 to 30 minute conversation with his dad. That's it. He flew over to be with his dad for a max of, 30 minutes or so? Less than an hour? Yeah. I think it was like to find out, well, who's going to be watching? Who do I have to report now to for my trust fund? Not to see how his daddy was. But Rachel said, get your ass over there to find out who's cutting the checks. If he was going over to really be, hey, Dad, it's like, let's make things up, Rachel would have been there with both kids. But since it wasn't an apology trip, it was a greed-oriented visit, that's why he only got less than about 30 minutes to see his dad. And then I guess, yeah, he had to stay over on Wednesday, so he had to stay over Tuesday night. Today's Wednesday. I bet he's already on a flight going back to LA right now. He's on his way back to LA. Yeah. All it was a greed-oriented visit. That's it. Looking for the money. So, yeah, and, yeah, and as for the modern-day Vietnam miniseries that's on the news constantly right now, I'm taking a break from the blue and yellow flag crap and the Middle East crap. I'm kind of giving myself a break from it, and probably next week I will start digging more into it. But yeah, those of us who are gifted, we do have to take a break periodically from some of the more intense subject matters, because we just get, I don't like using the term overwhelmed, but we pick up so much information that we just need to pull back and recharge our own batteries. So this week, a little bit more fluff pieces, and then I'll get back to doing some more serious digging as to what's going on with the yuccazoids over there. So, yeah, so everybody, then today is Wednesday, and next video goes out on the 9th, so that's a 4:30 pre-recorded video on Friday. So everyone have a great evening. See ya on Friday.